An update has just emerged in the case of 18-year-old Anna Kepner, the high school senior who was killed during a family cruise last November. This week, sealed court proceedings confirmed that federal charges have now entered the picture, raising new questions about what comes next and what we still don't know. I previously released a full episode walking through the cruise timeline and what was known as of late November. If you haven't watched that yet, I recommend starting there to get caught up. I'll have it linked in the description, but here's a quick recap. Anna was an 18-year-old high school senior who was on a Caribbean cruise with her family. Her father, stepmother, 16-year-old stepbrother, 3 younger siblings and step-siblings, and her grandparents. On November 7th, 2025, Anna was found deceased in the cabin that she had been sharing with her younger brother and stepbrother. She was discovered under the bed, covered with life vests. The ship returned to Miami the following day. Her death was ruled a homicide, and the cause of death was determined to be mechanical asphyxia. According to reports, the only person known to have been in the room between the time that Anna was last seen alive and when her body was discovered was her 16-year-old stepbrother. Because the incident occurred in international waters, the FBI is leading the investigation. Because this case involves a minor, I won't be using his name or showing his face. Before we continue, if you're new here, I'm Amanda, and this is Their Voice Matters, where we cover true crime stories with clarity and care, giving a voice to those who can't speak for themselves. On Friday, February 6, 2026, Anna's stepbrother appeared in federal court in Miami. Because of his age, the courtroom was closed, and the case is currently sealed. Some outlets have used the word arrested, though reporting indicates that he was brought in by U.S. Marshals and appeared in court with his attorney, without being taken to jail. Because the case is sealed, specific charges have not been publicly released. Some outlets have reported that charges were filed in juvenile court, while others have noted that they have not been able to independently confirm if charges were filed. What is clear is that formal legal proceedings are now underway. To help explain what this process looks like, criminal defense attorney Ryan Vescio was interviewed by a local Florida news outlet and offered insight into how juvenile cases in the federal system typically work. He explained, quote, "Well, it's very likely that he has been criminally charged in the federal system. All those under the age of 18 start as juvenile delinquents, which means the proceeding is closed. The courtroom is closed and we're not going to see any paperwork on the docket at this point." He went on to say, quote, "He could be charged with any crime of violence, anywhere from tampering with evidence all the way through premeditated homicide at this point. Because he's a juvenile, we're not going to have access to the filing documents or the court file." The attorney also explained the limits of juvenile sentencing under federal law. Quote, "No matter how heinous the crime under federal law, juveniles who are found to be delinquent can only be sentenced up to their 21st birthday, even for a homicide. However, based on the circumstances of this case," he added, quote, "Given the facts of the case, the brutal nature of her death, and the cover-up that was involved, I think it's likely that ultimately the government will proceed as an adult in this prosecution." After the hearing, reports indicate that Anna's stepbrother was taken to another courthouse and into a probation office where defendants are typically processed for pre-trial release. The conditions for their release can range from a promise to appear to electronic monitoring or bail. At this time, it's not known what, if any, conditions were imposed. Following these developments, Anna's father, Chris Kepner, and his wife, Chantel Hudson Kepner, released a joint statement. In it, they thanked the FBI and the Department of Justice for their work on the investigation and expressed the depth of their grief over Anna's loss. They also emphasized their belief in accountability and their desire for justice through the legal process. The statement reads in part, quote, "We believe in accountability and in the importance of justice being carried out. Our daughter deserves justice, and her life deserves to be honored through a full and fair legal process." While these court proceedings mark a major development in the case, this is not the first time concerns related to Anna's stepbrother have surfaced publicly. Before charges were reported, information had already emerged through custody court filings and family statements, including questions about the family dynamics, the ongoing custody dispute, and differing accounts on how close Anna and her stepbrother actually were. That context is important, so let's walk through it. In a custody hearing unrelated to Anna's case, held on December 5th, 2025, between Anna's stepmother, Chantel Hudson Kepner, and her ex-husband, the father of her children, it was revealed in court that their 16-year-old son was being investigated by the FBI and was considered a potential suspect in Anna's death. According to court documents, after the ship docked in Miami, he was taken to a facility for an undisclosed period of time before later going to live with a relative, where he was reportedly receiving therapy. During the hearing, Chantel stated that her son was living with relatives in order to remove, quote, any risk of any danger to any of the other children in the home. She also told the court that her son had been prescribed medication for ADHD and insomnia, but that he had not taken the insomnia medication for 2 nights prior to Anna's death. Alongside what was revealed in court, there have been differing accounts from family members about how close Anna and her stepbrother actually were. In the days following Anna's death, some family members initially described the step-siblings as being very close. Anna's grandparents referred to them as, quote, 2 peas in a pod. Chantel, Anna's stepmother, reportedly stated that Anna, her biological brother, and her stepbrother wanted to share a cabin together. She described their dynamic positively, saying, quote, the 3 of them were 3 amigos. They were best friends. The 3 teens were sharing a cabin across the hall from where Anna's father and stepmother were staying with 2 younger daughters. Anna's grandparents were staying in a separate cabin. Chris and Chantel have said they didn't believe there was anything concerning about the 3 teens sharing a cabin, given how close they believed them to be. However, other family members have shared a very different perspective. Anna's maternal aunt, Crystal Wright, said, quote, she wasn't comfortable with the boy. She had worries. It's been like that almost the entire time they've lived together. She also stated that Anna, quote, felt increasingly uncomfortable in her own home. According to her aunt, Anna didn't want to go on the cruise at all, saying, quote, Anna wasn't really wanting to go on the trip because the boy was going. I had found out that she was sharing the room with the boy, and I can see her, not comfortable with it, but I guess putting up with it. She added, quote, she only has to sleep in the bed at night, and the rest of the time she could avoid him. Her aunt also described the tension within the home, saying, quote, he felt she was the one who had ruined his life, whether it was because his mom and dad divorced or were divorcing or what. These differing accounts highlight just how complex and painful this case is, and how much remains unknown. Because this is still an active investigation and the legal process is ongoing, many details have not been made public, and some questions may take time to be answered. I'll continue following this case closely as official information becomes available. If you want to stay up to date, be sure to subscribe or follow the podcast. Thanks for being here, thanks for caring, and I'll see you in the next episode.